what I've been teaching, and I always tell people, there's nothing new. This isn't some new thing I came up with.
Right.
Now, one of the things I always do is I footnote everything. And you begin to read the footnotes and you say, wait a minute, this guy believed that too, and this guy believed that.
Right.
And way back then they believed this, and this guy believed it. So I'm not coming here like some cult figure and saying, I found something that no one else found. No, it's always been there. Marcellus Kick's book came out in 1948.
I was going to ask you, that was my next question, which was you're reading Marcellus Kick. That's 1948, ironically.
Yeah, yes.
But Marcellus Kick at that point was in, I think how old he was. I mean, he learned it from somebody
right
in the 30s.
Yeah, and you can go. Yeah, you
keep
can
going
go
back.
You can go back, and it's amazing to find out how many books that were marketed that dealt with the destruction of Jerusalem in AD 70. Well, this apologetic methodology on this, in Collision,
right? Yeah,
that you directed and produced, and Christopher Hitchens is debating Douglas Wilson. And there's that one scene in there, I think it's at Westminster Seminary,
absolutely.
Philadelphia.
That's right. Yeah.
And
Hitchens is kind of up against the ropes. He's up against the ropes. He's getting beat up a bit. And this is what made Hitchens so brilliant, right? Is he could be like Ali, right? He could rope-a-dope you a little bit, right? Yeah. He could do that, and he's sitting there with this boyish.
And he's no fool either. The guy knows his Bible.
He's no fool. He knows that Bertrand Russell dealt with this, and he knows that C.S. Lewis dealt with this. He knows, and he's able to say, in regards to prophecy and trusting the Bible, and he says, and Jesus told his disciples that he was going to return in their generation. And he says, and they didn't so clearly.
False prophet.
Boom.
Mistakes.
Right. And Doug didn't miss a beat.
What no one else could do with their contrary position is to answer that objection within a minute.
Right.
It would take them days to go through all of the objections. If
Jesus is the Messiah, if the Bible is true, if Jesus is the Son of God, then he can't lie, he can't be wrong. And if Jesus looks to his disciples and say, all these things are going to happen within your generation, and they didn't, right? What's the answer? You have to say, well, this generation doesn't mean this generation.
Race of people.
It means a race of people.
Generation sees these signs.
That. Right. Right.
And Doug.
And say it, because I think, how would you respond to that?
Well, I'm taking Jesus at his word here. Every time this generation is used in the New Testament, specifically in the Gospel of Matthew, it always means the generation to whom Jesus is speaking.
And then Hitchens said, wait, so you mean Jesus returned and the whole world was destroyed?
Well, it doesn't talk about the destruction of the world in that particular passage, but yes, Jesus did return in judgment, just like he said he would. The language there, and one of the things that Doug did, the language is borrowed right from the Old Testament. Right. Jesus is actually quoting from the Old Testament in order to make his case about a judgment coming. Actually, there are two comings mentioned in Matthew 24. We can talk about that another time. Right. And two different words that are used and for two different coming events. But all that language is taken right from Scripture. You don't even need Josephus to figure this out. All you have to do is follow the breadcrumbs through Scripture to see how these things take place. And basically, I can't remember all of it, but it seemed to me that Christopher Hitchens was kind of mumbling to himself. Even your comment about the audience, I remember you telling me you could hear a pin drop in the audience, because these are seminary students who are watching this, and there's a good chance they had never heard that argument before either.
Or if they had, they've said, I really hope nobody ever asks me this.
I have a friend, John Bray. He's dead now, but he wrote a marvelous book on Matthew chapter 24, and someone asked him what he thought about the Great Tribulation. He says, question and answer sessions are the Great Tribulation.